All right, everybody, welcome back to this week's Cabral House Calls. Every weekend answering our community's questions. Opening up that Word document right now. Hopefully you've been tuning in the past couple of years, but every single weekend we answer about 10 to 12 of our community's questions. As I always say, my team does such an amazing job rounding these questions up from the forum at stephencabral.com/askcabral. If you have your own question, I'm happy to answer it. But also, if you want same day questions, you don't want to wait 6 weeks or so, 8 weeks for us to answer, head on over to cabralsupportgroup.com. That same day answers. And the last update before we dive into your questions here this weekend is that I know if you tuned in last week and you heard that for about 2 weeks, we missed your questions. So that was from about July 20th through August 1st. We are now getting to questions on just the final questions basically of 8-1. So after today, if you wrote in the month of July, your question should have been answered. If it was not answered on a previous Cabral House Call, feel free to write back in. We'd be happy to answer that. And then, of course, if anybody else has any questions for you, for a loved one, feel free to write in. stephencabral.com/askcabral. Let's dive in right now. First question's from Ashley. Ashley says, "Hi, Dr. Paul. Love what you've done for the health industry, so much so that I recently graduated as an IHP level 2 and will be attending the Reimagined Health Summit this fall." Happy to hear that, Ashley. That's amazing. Look forward to meeting you in person at the event. Ashley says, "I'm writing as I've been experiencing itchy, stinging hives on my face, typically around my chin, mouth, and cheek area for about 6 months. Once the inflammation of the hives settle down, I'm left with what appears to be a whitehead. If popped, the skin becomes extremely dry and peels off within 24 hours. I've experienced this once in 2018 after a TBI, but work with a naturopathic doctor since retired that's resolved my symptoms with gut work. I intend to complete the Big 5 to assess what's happening, likely followed by a Dr. Paul detox and CBO protocol, but would love your thoughts to ensure I'm on the right track. And if you've seen these symptoms before, thank you." Okay, so yes, we've seen these before. Not always characterized as hives. It may seem that way because there's probably histamines involved, but hives are not, they're more like wheels. They're not typically something that would then turn into a whitehead. So basically, when you have something that comes to a head on your skin, whether it's on the back of your arms or your face, it can be typically food sensitivity, it can be bacteria, it could be anything the body's trying to release, even hormone-based, skin-based issues. So we don't always characterize those as hives, but I understand it can come with some, I would say, something that triggers that, right? So that's what we look for. Before you said it was a TBI, I'm not sure if you mean traumatic brain injury by that. That's typically what people, say as TBI. But what I would say in this case, we need to look directly at the gut. It could be triggered by an inflammatory food. You'll find that if you run the IgG food sensitivity test, potentially it might be an IgE sensitivity, not an IgG, but also we'll look at that on the Candida metabolic and vitamins test. So that's the absolute best way to begin to look at this, especially if it is histamine mediated. We will do the functional medicine detox as you spoke about, and we will do the CBO protocol followed by the CBO finisher, which heals and seals the gut. The nutrients that heal and seal the gut, just so people know, it's called healthy gut support, but inside of that is really what matters, right? Names are semantics. So it contains L-glutamine, zinc carnosine, N-acetylglucosamine, aloe vera, and also marshmallow root. All of those are quite anti-inflammatory for the gut and quite healing. But of course, now I have to give you my disclaimer that I can't provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. All right, Ashley, hopefully that was helpful. And without a doubt, as your body becomes less sensitive, you empty that rain barrel, you will have less of these skin eruptions. That absolutely happened for me. All right, Trisha's up next. Trisha says, "Hi, Dr. Paul. Earlier this year, I had a food sensitivity test done. My blood work came in showing above average to tomatoes. The results were 4.7 micrograms per milliliter, and anything great than 2 suggests a sensitivity or intolerance. I've been drinking your greens powder, the daily fruit and vegetable blend, every morning, and then realized it has tomatoes, but I'm guessing it's a very small amount. Do you think it's okay to continue drinking the greens powder? I'm working on reducing inflammation in my body. I'm going to test later this year with your kit, the food sensitivity test. Your test is much more extensive. Thank you." Okay, so Yes, we've seen this many times. So our daily fruit and vegetable blend has 22 organic fruits and vegetables. Basically, 1 scoop equals a servings of fruits and veggies without any of the carbs, which is pretty great for people trying to go a little lower carb. So here's the nice thing though. Since it's 22 organic fruits and vegetables and superfoods, it's a very small amount of each of the 22. So one of the best things about the daily fruit and vegetable blend, one, it's organic, but the other part is that it's been tested for heavy metals. All right, and the other part is that most people get a couple different veggies every day, maybe 1 or 2 different fruit. They don't get 22 different variety. That's why I like to use it as well, is that I eat basically the same veggies every day and basically the same fruit every day. To be honest, like I really do. Unless something new is in my house, I'm not necessarily going out and searching for it. So that makes my life easier, adding a different variety in there. What we say is this: if you're only sensitive to one of the foods in there at a lower sensitivity, the mild or moderate, like you're talking about right now, we have no issues with people continuing on with that because, again, it's a smaller amount of 22. If you have 3 or more sensitivities to products in that, then we eliminate. All right, Trisha, hopefully that's helpful, and you should be totally fine. Trish is up next, probably the same Trisha. Hi again. A recent blood work showed my omega-3 levels of EPA at 2.8% by weight is above average. They consider anything above 2.3 too high. Have you ever seen this before? Not sure why my balance of omega-3 fatty acids are shifting towards EPA. I was taking your fish oil, but I've stopped temporarily. All other numbers for omegas are in range. My total EPA, or my total omega, is at 7.5. Omega-6 in a range of 39.4, arachidonic acid EPA in a range at 4. Homocysteine is 7.7 in the range. Omega-6 to omega-3 is 5.2. Can I get your opinion? Okay, so I just want to let you know. Now, let's see what else he said. Should I continue to take fish oil? I do eat wild salmon 3 times a week. My high sensitivity CRP is 4.1. Thanks for any guidance. Okay. So again, I can't provide any medical guidance at all on this, but I can give you what it would look like if these were my labs. So you have to understand is you're running conventional medicine blood work. Conventional medicine blood work is very different from functional medicine, just to let you know that. So the ideal range is different than the good range. They're giving you a good range. The ideal range for us is a 3-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3. You're a 5.2. You still have a ways to go. I would be using, if it were me, 2 of the daily omega-3 soft gels, either with lunch or dinner. That's what I'd be doing, and still eat your fish 3 times a week, your wild salmon. That's great. Okay, your total omega-3 is 7.5. We want above a 9, okay? Then you have AA to EPA of a 4. That's good. That means you're not eating a lot of inflammatory foods, but we still want that at a 3-to-1. So again, from all measures, we would want you even a little bit lower. It says your EPA is a little high, but by their standards, not my standards, by their standards, right? So, because I run the same blood work as well. I test my omega-3s with standard blood work, but I don't pay attention to it. I use the omega-3 inflammation test, which are the exact ranges we want from a functional medicine perspective. So it's not like I don't pay attention to it. I do, but when they say that my omega-3s are too high, I don't pay attention to that because that is conventional medicine, and I want a 3-to-1, not just a 7-to-1, right? Like I want a better omega-6 to omega-3 profile, and all of my colleagues, feel the same way. This is obviously not just me. Your HSCRP, though, is still a 4.1. So we need to, your homocysteine looks good at 7.7. Again, no medical advice. But HSCRP, I want that below. I want that at 0.5 or less. So there's definitely an inflammatory process in your body, and you're doing great on your omega-3s, but we need to go beyond that and figure out what else is going on. Heavy metals, viral-based, high levels of muscular breakdown, gut-based issues. There's more going on. So we'll want to look at that. If you haven't run the Big 5, I'd run the Big 5, or I'd at least start to look at what's going on, high levels of cortisol, etc. All right, Jenny's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Weighted vests seem to be all the latest fitness craze. What is your opinion of them? Thank you. Okay, so I've talked about weighted vests for many, many years. We started using them just after the year 2000, like way back in the day, 26 years ago, and they're great. So, but they, again, like anything that's good gets overdone. Here's how we used to use them. We never use them for running, which is what a lot of people do now. You can use them for rucking, which is basically just putting on a weighted vest or a weighted backpack and walking. That's totally acceptable, or a little bit of an incline. But people are also going way overboard. A weighted vest should not change your mechanical gait. That means the way that you walk. I see people put on weighted vests and they're bent over, they're hunched over, their back's rounded. It's horrible. So really what you want to do is you want to put on maybe a 10-pound weighted vest. That's it. Start with that. You can always work your way up, but 10 pounds is plenty to work out with or to walk with. But don't let it change your shape of your form, your technique in any way, shape, or form. The one fun thing we used to do with weighted vests is that we would always track our clients' performance because we had a body transformation. One of our locations was basically we help people transform their body, and we still do it today, right? But virtually. So we'd help people lose weight and get in like the best shape literally of their life through nutrition and great exercise programs. And we did a very good job at it. Let's just put it that way. So we became very busy. And one fun thing that we used to do that we became known for is that every month you would put on a weighted vest of the weight that you lost. And it would be cumulative. So if someone lost 30 pounds after, let's just say 3 months, or 4 months. So that would be typical probably after 4 months, 8 times 4 is 32. Yeah. So that would be not abnormal, without a doubt. Yeah, that's about right. 3-4 months. So we'd put on a 30-pound weighted vest because you could change the weights on it. And so people would do a weight training workout with a tight fitting, because we used a tight strap one, of a 30-pound vest that was evenly distributed around. And they could not believe how heavy it felt. But that was them 4 months ago. So I love doing that, but we would only do that once. And people loved it. And of course, one of our personal trainers was always watching their form. All right. So Jenny, hopefully that was helpful. Yes, I'm an advocate. Start with 10 pounds. Don't let it change the gait, meaning the way that you walk. Don't run with it. There's no need for that. And you could definitely use it for weight training if you wanted to. Okay. We can't put in the last name here. You know what? I'm just going to say this person's name is Belinda. Belinda says, please, I have an ovarian cyst and PID for over 4 years and have been taking antibiotics and it's not helping. What should I do? Okay, again, can't provide medical advice, medical treatments, medical cures, medical diagnosis. I apologize for having to say that. Technically and legally, I have to say that at least once per show. All right, because I don't have any of your labs. I'm not your medical doctor. I don't know your health history. I literally don't know any of these things, right? When I do a deep dive consultation with a client, I'm spending hours reading over all of their labs and their health history. But let's help. Let's absolutely help Belinda. So ovarian cyst, right? So ovaries, cyst on the ovaries, and PID stands for pelvic inflammatory disorder. It usually means there's inflammation of a lot of the female reproductive organs or things such as the fallopian tubes or the uterus, and so ovaries. So when we look at this, we are looking at usually estrogen dominance, so higher levels of estrogen compared to progesterone, imbalanced blood sugar levels, and oftentimes we are seeing low levels of vitamin D and sometimes hypothyroidism. If you could only run one lab, Belinda, it would be the stress, mood, and metabolism test. And it looks exactly those things. Estrogen and progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, because sometimes you see high androgens in testosterone. You see cortisol throughout the day, all your thyroid numbers, vitamin D3, insulin, hemoglobin A1C. It's an amazing lab. If you can run the big five, even better, because then you get to see your omega-6s to omega-3s, which shows you inflammation. And then you get to run your gut health test with the Candida metabolic and vitamins test and the food sensitivity test. And then you also obviously get the minerals and metals test that looks at potential heavy metals. That is the way that we ultimately help people, especially if, like yourself, over 4 years you've been looking for answers. When you run the Big Five at StephenCabral.com/big and the number 5, it comes with a 90-minute consultation. You go through all 5 of your labs, and you also get a personalized plan built just for you. That's my highest recommendation so that you don't guess anymore. You test, you figure out exactly what you need, the results are explained to you, and you get walked through a personalized protocol built just for you. That's how we help Belinda. Hopefully that was helpful. I appreciate everyone writing in on today's show, and I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.